Feminism, post-feminism, post-post-feminism? What are they?
You must have heard about feminism. Familiar or unfamiliar. You know, it's about women. It is
the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes.
Then how about post-feminism and post-post-feminism? Generally speaking, post-feminism is a revitalization of feminist movement from the 1980s to the 1990s. It has drawn women's will to reject the stereotype femininity in the 70s. However, have these problems ever been solved? Obviously not. Otherwise, there won't be post-feminism. So, what was wrong with post-feminism? Have things ever been improved in these different waves of feminism? Well, let's explore the similarity and differences between post-feminism and post-post-feminism, especially on the issues regarding social structure and race in this video, by analyzing two representative films, Charlie's Angels and Crazy Rich Asians. Charlie's Angels is an American action comedy film that was released in 2000. It is a continuation of a television series with the same name that was made in 1970s. The film talks about three talented women who work as private investigators for a mystery millionaire called Charlie Townsend. This late 90s and early 2000s film has reflected the changing cultural tension between post-feminist backlash. Crazy Rich Asian is also an American comedy film. It was released in 2018, and it's worth mentioning that it is the first all-Asian Hollywood film after 25 years. The first one was Joy Luck Club. Crazy Rich Asians talks about an American-born Chinese girl, Rachel Chu, discovered that her boyfriend Nick has an extremely wealthy family and he's considered the most eligible bachelor in Asia, while they travel to Nick's hometown, Singapore, for a friend's wedding. She has been placed in a harsh situation due to the gap between their class and social background. Okay, let's start with social structure. Post-feminism is narrated as the cultural moment after a world in which feminism is no longer needed or relevant. It illustrates an extraordinary ideal world that all female issues have been fixed. Women have the same power as men and lead maneuvering in patriarchal society. While males used to constitute the majority of the role of private investigators, since being able to complete high-intensity physical work and intellectual work was the exclusive feature of men. In Charlie's Angels, the three brilliant angels are always be able to complete their mission as private investigators perfectly, and appear in the dominant position in the men's world. Males seemingly failed in adapting the society and creating the value of life in this film. Like Alex's boyfriend, who's waiting to be nominated, or this man waiting to be saved by angels. Women's sexuality is no longer the only tool that can be deployed. Compared to the 70s, when sexuality is one of the few ways women can manipulate power within the society. Besides, they can parachute, reason, make a desperate fight, falsify biometric information, and distinguish birth voice. People may say, "Oh look, they can do everything that men would do," or "they're even more powerful than men. Males and males have equal power. It's not fair." It seems like women have reached parity on screen. However, when we start considering how women are made a spectacle in the film and to whom the spectacle is catered towards, we will see that All the judgments and criteria for females are still under the frame of patriarchy. In another word, feminist projects have been subsumed within patriarchy and lack of attention to the system itself. Post-feminism critiques post-feminism's inability to define feminism outside of the neoliberal and capitalist social structure. The issue of patriarchy and society becomes visible in post-feminism. Post-feminism is also known as emergent feminisms. See, it's feminisms, which emphasizes pluralities. At this moment, both new and old feminism exist in the same cultural moment, which means that there still remain many problems. But at least the transformation has started. One of the most significant changes is that post-feminism starts competing with neoliberal fantasies of girls can do everything and focusing more on realistic issues. Crazy Rich Asians has shifted the standpoint to marginalized communities, Chinese immigrants in the US. Rachel's mother, as the first generation of immigrants, does not fit into any of the preferences of the patriarchal society. Being a low-class Asian immigrant single mom, she has to do multiple cheap labor part-time jobs to support herself and her daughter's life. The struggle of being a marginalized female is completely absent in post-feminism. This mindset is assisted by post-feminist culture's resolute focus on certain kind of women, white, middle class, and heterosexual, a focus that pushes aside the experience of those women unable by social position or circumstance to make the same kind of choice. In post-feminism, racial representation and stereotyping have not been resolved. The casting of Lucy Liu in Charlie's Angel is not a creative decision but more like putting a checkmark on the racial diversity checkbox without actually engaging with the cultural context. Instead, Lucy whitewashes her characters so she does not have significant differences from other white angels. Her diet is in a Western pattern such as eating blueberry muffins, chocolate cake, and steaks. Moreover, Lucy's character is highly engaged in the privilege of being white in a white culture by stereotyping other nation, ethnic, and racial identities apart from her own. In this scene, the medium close-up shot frames all three angels in the same framework, which has shown that Lucy Liu is performing the same racial masquerade of geisha girl stereotype. Yet, white middle-class heterosexual female is the representation of femininity and prioritized sexual preference for white heterosexual males, like this and this. Obviously, Crazy Rich Asians as a post-feminist work have done a way better job than Charlie's Angels in the way of confirming the character's marginalized racial identity and exploring the cultural background. Although Rachel is growing up in the US, she still has a strong willingness to connect with her root. She is eager to learn how to make dumplings from Nick's family. Oh, by the way, here is a question. Why Rachel's mother didn't teach her how to make dumplings when it's been considered as such an important skill in Chinese families? Well, Rachel's mother was a marginalized female under the influence of post-feminism in the US. Her identity often been ignored by society. In order to survive within the capitalist society, she has to work harder. While making dumplings is a time-consuming work and people generally prefer to do it with their family, as a low-class single mom, she barely has time to pass it to her daughter. However, she decided to teach her daughter how to play mahjong, which is a game that requires negotiation, strategy, and cooperation. From here, we can see that she values more about teaching her daughter how to survive in society as an independent woman. As an outcome, Rachel far surpassed her mother and was similarly well adapted to the society. She became the youngest economic professor at New York University with her intelligence and hard work. So that means that racial stereotype has been perfectly resolved in post-feminism? Haha, absolutely not yet. Crazy Rich Asians is seen as popular film in North American countries, which grossed 172.5 million US dollar box office in the United States and Canada. However, it only got 1.5 million in China. Many Chinese audiences comment that this film is completely unrelatable. Yeah, there's a still strong sense of Hollywood's exotism gaze, which is stereotyping the Asian perspective of Western society. Like all Asians love red color,
this symbolizes good fortune and fertility.
All Asians think that Americans only think about their own happiness.
And all Americans think about is their own happiness.
It is no doubt that there are some significant shifts in treating issues regarding females, obstacles in gender, race, ethnicity, national identity, and class objectively. However, there is still a long way to go. The influence of patriarchy from generation to generation has to be overcome from generation to generation. Alright, that's everything about this video essay. Thank you for watching. Bye.